All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lowtech Tuck, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. You are here with your hairiest host, Mother Goose.
And your second hairiest host, Lowtech Tuck.
Hell yeah. Back at it again. Ahsoka, episode 6, whose title I totally remember and am not
far
looking
away.
up right now.
far away.
Thank you, Tucker.
Yeah. Elijah went ahead and he's on episode 7, so he's been reading ahead, which is, shame
I
on
know.
this guy.
You guys, everyone send thanks to Tucker because I was going to skip episode 6. It's going to go 5, nothing, 6. And you know what? It would be a dang shame because I think this is my favorite episode of the whole season, which, just to clarify, episode 8 isn't out yet. So, favorite episodes so far up to 7.
Yeah, which I imagine episode 8 is probably going to be everyone's favorite. I mean, that's usually how these things go. So,
I have a feeling based on this episode, which we'll talk about a little bit, and then episode 7, which I won't bring up till we record, but the episode 8 may not be the happiest of episodes.
Oh, that's okay, dude. I love me a dark ending. That's okay.
Yeah. I think it would, if it does end dark, because I don't think it's been confirmed yet if it's, we know for sure we're getting a Dave Filoni movie, so I'm not sure if it's going to be Ahsoka Season 1 and then the movie, or Ahsoka Season 1, Season 2, and then the movie.
Yeah, because when's the movie coming out? Is it 2025?
I think 2025 was the original release date, but then they had the writers and actors strike.
Yeah.
So that may have pushed it back a little bit.
So we're looking at probably like early 26.
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay.
I think that's a pretty fair bet.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, I'm sure they'll do probably another season of Ahsoka. I would think. At least one.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, or at least do like a Mandalorian thing where, like, in the next season of Mandalorian, you get some Ahsoka stuff, or I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll find a way to handle it.
For sure. So, we were talking a little bit before, so I think this is my favorite episode. How, like, just kind of general thoughts, what do you think about this episode?
This episode, for me, just not being as much of a Rebels fan as I am a Clone Wars fan. Like, my favorite version of Ahsoka is and always will be Clone Wars Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Over Rebels Ahsoka. That's just how I feel. And so this episode, I felt like catered more to the Rebels crowd. But as in terms of story building and that kind of thing, I thought it was excellent. It just wasn't my personal favorite just because it was about, Thrawn and Sabine and just characters I'm not as, jammed about as I am Clone Wars type things.
Yeah, for sure. Which I'm really glad you brought up Thrawn, because a lot of people are really worried about Thrawn, because in the original Heir to the Empire novels, he was more of a anti-hero. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are very worried that he's going to be turned more into a just like generic villain. And I definitely feel confident he's not going to be a generic villain, but we have to remember that he's been trapped in another galaxy for 10 years. It's still going to be Thrawn, but I think it's going to be a slightly different Thrawn. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if there was some, like, cannibalization going on in the ship. Like, these people had to do whatever they could to survive.
Yeah. And they did it. Like, they did probably pretty horrible things. And on that note, too, you just don't amass an army like that and be good to go after 10 years without probably doing some pretty awful things.
Right. And I think all of the stormtroopers we saw were pretty much what's left of the crew. I think do you remember the number of how many crew fit on a Star Destroyer?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I'm going to throw out there that it's tens of thousands, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And we don't really see exactly the full number of them, but it wouldn't shock me at all if it was like 5,000 or less on the ship. So I mean, you're looking at, like, just for easy numbers, about half of them are still alive or less.
Yeah.
But that also isn't counting too. I mean, we see a lot of damage on the ship from Rebels. Last battle from the Siege of Lothal, right? You know, and so you have to think about it too. Like, those parts of the ship that were damaged, I'm sure a lot of guys died just in the initial battle.
Yeah,
but
I agree. Anyway, so my whole point to this is I think we're still going to get a really cool Thrawn. I just think he's going to be a more evil Thrawn than what we saw in the original novels.
Yeah, and also you're going to see a Thrawn that's hungrier, like more ready to take over the galaxy, because he's had 10 years to think about it.
Right. Yeah, he's had 10 years just loathing his defeat.
Yeah, and we see it in history. Like, usually whenever, tyrants get exiled, they normally come back better than ever, in not a good way.
Yeah. Well, so this episode starts with our one and only Ahsoka scene. How did you feel about the title character only getting one scene in this episode?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I didn't really think about it that much. Because, I mean, I know we will see her in episodes 7 and 8. Probably quite a bit. So as far as the purposes of just this episode's purpose of just building the story a little bit more before the climax, I was fine with it. I was all right with it. Now, in this scene, what I was absolutely pumped about is that someone finally says, in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes.
That's the only time we've ever heard that from a Star Wars character. That's awesome.
And I think Huyang, being as old as he is and being the character he is the perfect person to actually say those lines.
Yeah, and I also hope canonically that is how the History of the Galaxy volumes 1, 2, and 3 actually starts.
Yeah.
I hope that line is the first one, because that would just be really cool.
Right? And what a cheeky little reference from Dave saying, 1, 2, and 3 in reference to, the 3 trilogies.
I didn't catch that. Because I thought, the History of the Galaxy thing that she's talking about, because... Oh, I didn't think about it, because Ahsoka says Volume 1 is the best.
Right, and so people have been arguing online if it's talking release order or chronological order for the trilogies.
That's interesting, because honestly, I took it in a literal way. Yeah. That there's literally 3 volumes of the History of the Galaxy. And so in my head, I thought as far as the Jedi were concerned, they would be the end of the Jedi, the prequel Jedi would be volume 3.
Yeah.
And then the past 30,000 years were volumes 1 and 2.
Right, which I think in terms of in universe, you are completely right. That is what Ahsoka and Huyang are talking about.
Yeah.
But I also think it's just a little reference for fans to look at and say, my trilogy, my favorite trilogy.
Yeah, no, I just never caught that double meaning. That's really funny.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Same. But I think that's all I have for the scene. I don't know if I said this, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it didn't bother me at all that Ahsoka was only in one scene. I think with everything that happened this episode, I think pacing wise it was great. I didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I didn't think that this episode really dragged at all. Thought it was good. I
did want to ask, how did you think about the Purgle's like hyperspace? It's a little more colorful than normal hyperspace.
I thought it was really cool. It makes sense because we see in The Mandalorian that the Purgles can travel in other hyperspace lanes than ships.
Yeah.
And so it would make a lot of sense that it looks different. Oh, and then also, too, I mean, they're able to jump between galaxies, and so maybe even just across galaxy hyperspace, maybe you're going faster, so it looks different. I don't know. But it looked cool. It looked very cool. And I liked how it was kind of watery, too.
Yeah, same.
With the whale theme. It was just kind of dope.
So some people are theorizing that this scene takes place at the exact same time as when Grogu sees the Purgles in The Mandalorian.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, which I don't know if that have any major like story relevance, but it's an interesting theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it, but that's very interesting. Yeah.
Well, great. So next we cut to Sabine in her jail cell talking to Balin and Shin, and then we have them coming out of hyperspace to Peridea. Do you have anything interesting here?
No, I don't. Not yet.
Yeah, I don't really think I have anything either. I think just as a design choice, I really like the inside of the hyperspace ring. The like gold and the like all the poles and the like grates, and I think it all comes together for a very interesting interior.
Yeah, like it's almost like steampunk's not the right word, but almost kinda.
But
you know
almost,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lot of brass and a lot of like steam operated stuff. It's weird.
At least inspired by steampunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it.
And then I think really the big thing I have for here is the ring around Peridea.
Yeah, actually, before that, the ship that they take out of the ring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that looks oddly like the Razor Crest?
You know what?
It's just a little bit more square.
I'm looking at it right now. I think you're right.
And made of brass. I don't know. I got heavy Razor Crest vibes from that thing.
Yeah. Okay. I knew I'd recognized it from somewhere, or it reminded me of something, but I couldn't think of what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's just I don't know, something I noticed.
Yeah, for sure. But yes, the ring around Peridea is just a bunch of it's a Purgle graveyard.
Yeah, and what I thought was interesting is I think it's Balin says they come here to die.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's the whole purpose of going to Peridea for them is like I guess that's just the part of their life cycle where they literally go there to die. But then also, are they like other fish? Like, are they like salmon, where that's also where they have like babies and then they die?
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Be interesting to find out.
Yeah, I definitely want more lore on the Purgles and how they operate. But just metal as hell. A Saturn-like ring made of just bones.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm. Something I really loved about this episode is it's so Lord of the Rings inspired. Like when they fly down and we see the Night Sister Temple, it literally reminded me of seeing Minas Tirith for the first time.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, for me, I was actually reminded of another thing that's actually Star Wars related, but with the Dathmiri statues, I may have gotten some Zepho vibes from them a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I almost wonder if, like, because the Dathmiri obviously are really ancient, I wonder if them and the Zepho were, like, enemies.
Oh,
like, if the Zepho were the light side, then I wonder if the Dathmiri were, like, their dark side counterpart.
That's a really good theory.
Yeah, because the Force has to exist in balance. So, like, for every for every light side, there has to be dark side.
Right,
too.
right.
So, yeah.
Which,
I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and then we get a major, talking about the the Night Sisters, we get a major lore reveal that they're actually from this galaxy and that they traveled to the Star Wars galaxy. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's awesome. But that's another thing, too. I could see the Zepho also being from that galaxy and coming here.
Maybe they both went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also the reason I keep going on and on about their statues giving me Zepho vibes, like, with the big hats and how tall they are and stuff, I thought they looked just like them. But one thing I thought was interesting, as far as, like, them possibly being the dark side counterpart to the Zepho, is the statues. If you notice, like, the Zepho statues are, like, very stoic looking. Like, they're either, like, sort of soft smiling or just straight faced.
Yeah.
Whereas these have, like, giant, like, mourning mouths.
Yeah.
And, like, they're more creepy, I guess. And so it just gave me some heavy ancient Star Wars culture vibes. I liked it.
Yeah. Same. Oh, okay. They say that Sabine reeks of Jedi. So a couple things. It's possible that they have Jedi here in this universe.
Yep.
But also they could be referencing Ezra.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the scene they're talking about Sabine, though.
Right, but like, how would they know what a Jedi smelled like? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, with the Bridge to Peridia, though, Jedi myth, my opinion would be that there at least was Jedi in that galaxy.
Yeah.
I don't know if there still are, to be honest, but I think there's at least some temple ruins. Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, I forget how long they had light speed travel, but it's like thousands of years. And you would think at some point that someone made it out there.
Yeah, I agree. And especially, like, to me, I kind of get the vibes that, one, this is a much older galaxy, but this galaxy might be on the, like, end of its lifespan, if that makes sense.
What makes you think that?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell for sure because we've only seen the one planet, but specifically just like Peridia in itself is just so ancient. We only see the like Night Sisters there, and there's only 3 of them, and then Thrawn's people, and then like the native people of the planet. But
yeah,
I don't know. It seems just so barren that I kind of get a vibe that maybe the whole galaxy is barren, or, you know, it is dying. There's not much left to it.
Yeah, well, I guess that makes sense too, why both groups of natives that we see are both nomadic. That makes sense. Like, if there's not a lot of resources, like living on a dead planet, most of the cultures will be nomadic.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to live, so I can believe it.
So I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, actually, Shin. This episode just as a whole, and it kind of starts here in this scene where she like tells Balin more witches. This episode really changed my perspective on Shin. She just seems a little lost. She doesn't really want to be here.
Yeah, well, and I think, too, she probably grew up hearing about Balin's encounters with witches and stuff, and so she's probably a little afraid of them.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, it's not like she ever saw one in real life, except for Morgan, who's pretty cleaned up for a witch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, these are probably the first, like, real Night Sisters she's ever seen.
Right, and I think Morgan is the only non-Dathmerian Night Sister we've seen in canon, right?
Yeah, because Marin, she's Dathmiri for sure.
Yeah,
but also Morgan, do we know that she's not Dathmiri?
I believe so. I think she's human.
Oh, she hasn't changed her appearance at all?
Oh, like she might be using a spell to look more human?
Maybe, or because the Night Sisters wear a lot of ritual makeup, and like we see that from like Marin's appearance. Because like Marin looks a lot like Shin, like just like white hair and like white skin, but looks pretty human. Yeah. And so maybe Morgan's like half Night Sister, or maybe she's not doing the ritual makeup, or
I didn't really
stuff
think
like
about
that.
Their gray skin might actually be just makeup. I hadn't really considered that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
Yeah.
Just the encounters with Marin and stuff in Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor make me think that.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah, I like that theory.
And then also like Asajj Ventress. She's another one that she doesn't really do the ritual makeup.
Yeah.
Like her skin is gray or white, but it's not, she doesn't have like the black face tattoos and stuff.
Right. Okay.
So, I don't know.
So next we have Sabine again in a jail cell. I really loved this scene as she like tries to use the Force to open it. I don't know about you, but I really thought like she was gonna try and open the door, and then it was gonna open, and like she's like, "Oh, I have the Force now," and then actually it's gonna be Ezra standing there. That's what I thought.
I thought so, especially when the room starts like rumbling as the Star Destroyer pulls up. I really thought for a second, especially when you can see the ship in the background, like in the window, whenever it pans to like look at her face while she's trying to use the Force. I really almost expected that to be either Ahsoka and Huyang or Ezra somehow.
Yeah.
And then whenever it was the Chimera, I was like, ooh.
Ooh.
This ain't good.
Which Chimera wise, love the detail, like that they kept the Chimera symbol on the bottom half of the ship.
Yeah, and all the damage. I like that too. Like how it's exactly the same as it is in Rebels. I just like that.
They definitely put the time and effort in. I will say, Thrawn's ship coming down on the temple looks a little inappropriate.
I love how that's a note of yours.
Just makes me giggle every time we get a wide shot and we just see the temple inside the Chimera.
Yeah.
I think Thrawn's entrance here is the coolest villain entrance. It like, if not the best villain entrance in Star Wars, definitely top 3. Like,
I mean, it's no Darth Maul.
I don't know, but like the Night Troopers chanting Thrawn's name. You get Enoch turning around, and you have the gold helmet, and there's the like we have Thrawn's theme song with the organ going, and they was just so hyped.
It was creepy. I liked it.
I've gone and rewatched this scene. Like I've watched the episode like 4 times now, but this specific scene I've gone and rewatched a couple times too, just because I loved it so much.
Dude, honestly, in this scene, it was so good that it reminded me of, and this is a Star Wars Legends book, this isn't canonical at all, but I was reminded of Death Troopers. Did you ever read that?
Yeah.
Like the zombie stormtrooper things. Yeah. That's kind of like it at the start. Whenever I was watching, I was like, what if they're those? But I don't think so, probably. But
yeah, I think the Night Troopers, one, just aesthetically love like the Dathomirian red cloth wrapped around them, how they fixed up their armor with gold, just such a cool aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I think you brought up the Death Troopers. Should we maybe talk about the catacombs and what might be being brought over?
Sure.
I think Thrawn's building a zombie army.
Do you think they are Death Troopers?
I don't know about the Night Troopers specifically, but I think the catacombs and the things we see them actually loading into the ship are
coffin-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people right now are theorizing that they're Night Sisters. And they're going to, do like we had in Clone Wars and have a Night Sister zombie army. I think they might be Jedi.
Dude.
Just imagine an army of zombie Jedi like Merrick.
That would be crazy. Also, what if it's Jedi and Night Sisters both?
Oh, it could be both. Yeah.
Yeah. And also some troopers mixed in there too. Like, what if it's just a bunch of zombies that all have different powers and different... Oh, man, that'd be scary and awesome.
Yeah, I think
And also, Episode 8 is coming out, like midway through October? It's like 2 weeks before Halloween? 3 weeks before Halloween?
Spooky season, it's here.
Maybe, man. Maybe.
But I think Thrawn's army is going to be so cool. It's going to be a mix of these night troopers. It's going to be zombies. He's probably... well, I don't want to say probably, but I think there's a good chance he's going to reconnect with his people, and we're going to see some Chiss warships. Yeah. Obviously, the Imperial remnants.
Wait, he's... Okay, this is probably a stupid question. Dude, I thought he was Pantoran this whole time. He's not Pantoran?
Nah.
Oh.
He's
Chiss, okay.
Yeah. Which, kind of the lore behind the Chiss, right?
Don't think I do, man.
So, the Chiss are a people of... They live in the unknown regions.
Okay.
They're all, like, blue with the red eyes, and they have a pretty big empire themselves. But Thrawn was specifically sent to spy on the Empire, and I think he came during the Clone Wars, so the Republic at the time, where obviously, he joined the army, rose through the ranks, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he's essentially spying on the Star Wars galaxy for his people.
Oh. Huh. That's very interesting.
So, cool little lore bit about the Chiss is that they also have Force sensitives, but I think they're children, and they like use them to like guide their ships through the unknown regions.
Oh.
Something like that. I don't know if I'm exactly correct, but I know they use the Force sensitive children for something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the first time I'm hearing any of this. I don't know, that's interesting.
You should definitely look up some stuff on the Chiss, because there's also the I think they're called the Grix. They're like the main enemy in the bad guys within the unknown region. They're not the Yuzhong Vong, but they're very Yuzhong Vong like, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So if we ever do get sort of a Yuzhong Vong storyline in canon, it'll probably be with the Grix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some Googling to do after this.
Hell yeah. But yes, really, really love this scene. Just fantastic villain entrance. Did you make it to Thrawn while watching Rebels?
I did. I basically made it because like I said in an earlier episode, I ran out of time, but I made it to Kanan's death, basically.
Okay.
And so I was only like 4 episodes away from finishing the whole thing. Yeah. And so then what I did is like I skipped like 1 or 2 episodes and just watched the Siege of Lothal at the very end.
Gotcha.
So like there's been like 1 episode of Rebels that I haven't seen. But anyway, but like with Thrawn, one thing I do know about him and one thing I do appreciate about him is just how much he cares about knowing his enemy and just the way that he thinks. Gets me fired up, man. Just for instance, the story arc with Hera going back to Ryloth and her like family tree thing. And Thrawn like immediately realizes why she's there.
Yes.
And what it is, and then who she is after that. Like that's just what a good villain. That's all I have to say. Just what a good villain.
Yeah. For sure. And I'm glad you brought up Kanan, because I think Thrawn may have Kanan's lightsaber. which
Why?
I don't have any proof. Well, I think I need to go back and rewatch it, but I think either the Imperials were searching through after Kanan died, or somebody may have actually grabbed it. I can't remember for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
It could have been like a trophy for Thrawn, essentially. Like, here, we lost, but here's Kanan's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know he keeps trophies anyway, so it would make sense.
I definitely, again, I can't remember exactly, so I don't have the proof behind it, but that's my theory, is that he has it, which if he does, I think will play a least small part of the story, you know, because Ezra will probably want it, or Hera will want it, or, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. That would be cool.
Yeah. So next we have Thrawn and Sabine meeting up. I really like his just line about, you know, them talking about Sabine Wren coming and him saying, like, now that's a name I remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it must feel good, even if it's an enemy, just being like, oh, somebody I know from home.
Yeah. It's probably like sort of a comfort.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really loved their interaction where he's like, you gambled the fate of your galaxy, you know, to find Ezra. And Sabine says, you wouldn't understand. And he kind of like pauses and says, perhaps not. Like, with a man who just like prioritizes understanding your enemy, saying something like that was such a burn.
I know. And also, like, at the same time, he's kind of calling her an idiot. Like, he's like,
right.
I will never understand that because I would never do it. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah.
It's kind of the vibe I got. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, he gives her everything she needs to go find Ezra. She leaves on a howler, and then he sends Baylan after her, you know, like, yeah, we'll help you find Ezra, but doesn't mean we'll let you live after that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and also that is one thing that I thought was interesting about Shin's character is how uncomfortable she is with that.
Mm-hmm.
She really doesn't like it. And also we're talking about a character that just one episode ago? Yeah. Tried to kill Sabine.
Right.
But then she is obviously uncomfortable with killing her like this.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, Shin and Baylan, I just don't know how evil they are. We'll find out. Yeah.
I definitely think there's going to be more to them.
Yeah, I think so.
What did you think of the Howler?
I liked it. Me like Big Puppy.
Me like Big Puppy. Same.
I like how like it sits like a camel for Sabine to get on it. I just thought that was funny. Yeah.
And I like its almost like rat-like face.
Yeah.
But of course, it's Dave Filoni. Had to throw more wolves in there.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Let's see. So next we have Sabine going to find Ezra. We have her fighting some bandits, which have very like samurai-like armor. I really loved their armor. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked that fight scene a lot. I liked how Sabine was really trying to rely on her blasters.
Yeah.
Until they were about to beat her, and then she's like, okay, fine. I just feel like I feel like the lightsaber to her is just still, that's plan B.
Yeah. It's very Mandalorian of her, and I love that.
Yeah. But my favorite part of the fight is whenever she uses the one guy as a human shield and she starts shooting the other guys.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice bit of choreography. It was cool. Yep.
I also, the scene after where she talks to her Howler again, I was so torn because I was like, yeah, how dare you leave her? But also, don't talk to him like that. He's doing his best.
And I mean, he's known you for like 5 seconds. That doesn't mean he feels loyalty to you.
Right.
Like if you're under attack, he's probably like, okay, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love how it all plays out where, she starts to trust him again and he leads her to the Nodi, and just there's that moment where she's just like, of course, you just wanted water.
Yeah.
And then we see the new cutest creatures in Star Wars.
Our favorite crab turtle friends.
Our favorite crab turtles. They're so cute.
I do like them. And their little language is cute too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I really hope we get to see some more of them before we leave the galaxy. They're like nomadic tribe and the like snail like eyeballs, they like blue skin. Like I just vibe with these things so much.
Oh yeah, like honestly, I think if I was Ezra, I would just live with them forever. I wouldn't even go back.
Right.
Like, you know what? We're just gonna travel the planet together and just be bros.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I kind of hope, I don't think it's gonna happen, but if Ezra and them do make it back to the other galaxy, I really hope they bring the Nodi with them.
Yeah, I would like to see like kind of an Ewok type thing with the Nodi.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yep.
Let's see. Did you have anything here with them before they take her to her village?
Not really. I thought it was interesting how they had the New Republic symbols.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, did Ezra give them those, or?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep.
He's probably I'm guessing it just like in his free time, he was probably just carving the symbol just, for something to do. And one of them was like, hey, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I guess too, I forget that he had like years to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 years overall seems pretty sucky, but at the same time, 10 years with these cute little guys. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not so bad.
Yeah. Oh, I also love too in their village how they have like little trailer homes.
Right?
Like it's just like a trailer park. It's a Star Wars trailer park, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I love that the little baby has its own little hammock.
Mm-hmm. And then also how big his eyes are. Like he obviously hasn't grown into his eyes yet.
Right.
That was really funny.
Yeah, and then we get our boy Ezra. What did you think?
I liked it. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I liked the casting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they picked a guy who looks a heck of a lot like Ezra with a beard. I mean that.
Yeah, and sounds a lot like him too.
Yeah, I was really happy with the casting. The lines were pretty good. Like his back and forth with Sabine. It really did kind of feel like they were almost never apart. Like the way that they treat each other and joke back and forth, and how they almost become their Rebels characters again for a couple seconds. Like that was cool.
Yeah, for sure. I really like his chainmail. I think those are Stormtrooper dog tags.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right?
Maybe he's part of the reason that there's only like so half of the Stormtroopers left.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, I completely agree. Love the casting. I'm really glad they let him grow his hair out, like we talked about in episode 1. He kind of looked like a dork with the buzz cut.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Live action wasn't doing him any favors that first episode.
Yeah, I am a little worried. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, though, that he may not make it, just because he has a line here where he specifically says like that he's ready to go home.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels too ominous.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, why'd you have to say that nice thing, man?
Yeah, which I'm hoping that they just get stuck for a little bit. Like, they have to spend a little more time in this galaxy. If he dies, like, if all of this was for nothing, if Thrawn returns to the galaxy and they can't even save Ezra, I'm gonna be so sad.
Yeah, I haven't seen episode 7 yet, though, so I don't know. For all I know, they are going to make it.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe they do, maybe I don't know.
You're giving me some vibes, man, and now you're making me worry.
Nah, you're gonna really enjoy episode 7. A lot of people I saw were really upset that, Sabine just didn't like come out and say like, oh yeah, just so you know, we won the war. Luke Skywalker turned Vader good again, and they killed the Emperor, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, from a storytelling perspective, like the audience already knows all this stuff. Like I'm sure they're gonna have these conversations. It's just there's no point for us to hear all this information again because we already know it.
Also, I mean, like, I don't know. If I hadn't seen you in a decade, I'm not real sure the first thing that we would talk about is recent politics.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't tell you like, oh yeah, this guy was president and like we fought this country in a war. Like I wouldn't, why would I care about that when I'm seeing my friend I haven't seen in a decade?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. So, you know, I think we give Sabine a little slack here. She's just excited.
Oh yeah, she'll catch him up. She'll catch him up. It's all good.
Also doesn't want Ezra to know that maybe, perhaps, he spent 10 years in this other galaxy alone for nothing.
Yeah. That's probably true. Maybe trying to spare his feelings a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think the last thing I have is the scene with Thrawn and Morgan, where they're talking to the witches about someone coming, and she talks about how Ahsoka's dead, and he's like, perhaps not, and he asks for, like, all the information on her. It was very Thrawn, just like, okay, she might be coming, let me learn everything I possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then also, he said if you see any star whales, shoot them down. I was like, ooh. Is that a little fear from our boy Thrawn?
What does he say? With extreme prejudice, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he has it out for Ezra, and he has it out for the Burgles.
That's true. And also he probably has it out for Ahsoka too. I mean, he probably knows who she is and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't like her anyway.
For sure. Sure. Well, I think that's all I had for this episode. What did you have? Anything else?
There was one more thing. And it was, I can't remember where this scene takes place, but I know it's in there. And it's Baylan and Shin are having a conversation. And he gets, like he tells her, he says, when I was just a little bit older than you, I watched everything I love burn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she was like, the temple? And then it just like shows his face and he looks like really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't think these guys are that evil.
Yeah.
They're luring me in.
Same.
Yep.
Same.
That's all I wanted to say though.
No, I'm glad you brought the scene up, because I think this is also the scene where he refers to Ezra as a Boken Jedi, like a Jedi trained after the Order fell.
Mm-hmm. And then Shin says, oh, like me, and he says, I trained you to be better than that.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting also. I think Baylan is, like, he obviously understands where the Jedi went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of how he trained Shin.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that's evil, necessarily, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're Sith. I really don't.
Same.
They might do something that'll make me sad later, but...
Yeah. And I think this is also the scene, like, he specifically, like, kind of off what you're talking about. He says, she asks him, do you miss it? And he says, I miss the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what does he say? It's something like, I miss the idea of it, but not the weakness.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Just a fire line.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, talking about Baylan, I love how in every scene he has, he is the authority. Except for when he's talking to Thrawn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just
and also, they even hide
so
that they're
cool.
Jedi at the start. They just tell them that they're mercenaries. Or Morgan tells him that. I mean, he figures it out later, obviously, but...
Right.
Well, actually, no, I think he figures it out right then. He just goes like, oh, yeah, Baylan Skull of the Jedi Order. He's like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you ain't slipping one past old Thrawn. No way.
Yep. Well, fantastic episode. Like I said, it's so hard for me to even fathom, just because episode 5 was so phenomenal, but just the fact that I enjoyed this episode more just baffles me.
Yeah. Well, and I really, again, while it's not my personal favorite, I thought it was really good.
For sure. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to be a part of this conversation, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. If you're listening somewhere where you could leave us a review, we'd really appreciate that. It helps us a lot. And if you're listening on Spotify, of course, we'll be asking what you thought of today's, or episode 6 of Ahsoka. For the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And Lowtech Tub.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios.